Hello and welcome to We Women Want, where we are actually talking to the stakeholders themselves, to young girls, the new age women of today, and find out what they think, what they feel about our old traditions, beliefs, what are their priorities, what do they have in mind, what do they think when we ask them about the work-life balance, how do they interpret these terms. I have with me an audience that is consisting of young students, postgraduate students from the Vedica Scholars Program for Women. And also with me on the panel is Anuradha Das Mathur. She is the Dean and the founder of this program. So, Anuradha, we spoke in the earlier show also about the young girls. So, I'll just encapsulate it in the program is basically postgraduates and you're preparing them for the world, the working world. Because as you said, women do join the workforce, but how many of them stay within the workforce? So, what this program does is actually teaches them to actually stay and retain their jobs, and the hashtag don't quit. I really like that hashtag. Well, it's a very good one. Do you want to add something to it before we...
No, I think you've said it absolutely. I think we've come here so often, and thank you for having us. But I think that's it, Priya. It's not like girls are not capable of joining the workforce. I just don't think we prepare them for the forks in their life, the decision points where they can navigate and say, I can do this without quitting. The first response, I mean, this is one of my favorite anecdotes, but in India, kuch bhi problem hota hai, woman quit her job is the solution. Maid bhag gayi, husband ka transfer ho gaya, bacche ka board exam hai, in-laws ka knee replacement hai. The solution is, why don't you take a break? And then when things settle down, you can come back. It doesn't happen. It's very hard to come back. So we are saying, listen, don't quit. Figure out solutions and also prepare yourself for that. So that's what we focus on in addition to all the competencies for being a great management professional.
So don't be the first to raise your hands on the quitting part, but I do want you to raise your hands in certain questions that, I want to ask you. One is, you're a new generation that is coming up. You're going to be stepping out into the workforce. Radhi and I actually are the generation of yesterday. So what is the one thing that you have learned from your mothers and the old generation that you really like? And what is the one thing that you don't like? That's something that you're not going to be repeating in your lives. So anybody who wants to answer on the things that you like, maybe you can start with that. And the mic, and just introduce yourself and where you're from.
Okay, my name is Ruchi and my family stays back in Goa. So my dad was in the army, and what happened was he was always in a different place and we were staying somewhere else. And what happened was my mom was always alone with the two of us, me and my elder sister, and she learned her ways. She was not educated like how we are, okay, and she learned her ways to go to the bank and get the work done, go to the gas, like to get the gas connection, and she did it all on her own. And I have learned that from her, that take up those challenges which we are not very familiar with, those things, and probably you will learn. And something I do not want to repeat, I'm not too sure, because I see her as my inspiration. But I think not putting up with the family. She accepts whatever they say, and she's like, we should live how they have dictated the rules and the norms. I do not like to follow that.
Well
Very
said.
nice.
Very good
Very
observations.
nice.
Anybody else? And it doesn't have to be your own parents. It can be something that you've seen in the older generation that you don't really want to follow.
Hi, good morning. I am Sneha and I'm from Assam. So what I learned from my mother is resilience. So she got married at a very early age while she was completing her school. So her dream was always to study more, get education. But once she came into the family, we had a joint family back then. And once she came into the family, she did not apparently got a chance to kind of continue with her education, even though my father also wanted her to do it, but due to the situation and the family pressure,
So
she
she
couldn't.
gave in.
She gave up. But what I liked about her is, when we shifted, we made a transition from a joint family setup to a nuclear family setup. The first thing she did was she told my father, I want to join you in the business. I want to do it with you, or maybe open up something of my own, but I don't want to sit back and hold back. So that's what she did. She for some time she joined my father. She was looking through the business, and she's not educated. I said she got married in school, but she did a fabulous job. And after a point in time, she started her own business and she's running it successfully. So I'm really, really proud of her.
So you have some very
Nice.
good success stories of, and the common theme really is people who are stepping out of the Lakshman Rekha and taking their own initiative is the
Very nice.
the traditional thing. What is the one thing that you don't like about the older generation? Apart from one is that they give into pressure. The other?
Hi, my name is Mini and I am from Lucknow. One thing that I do not like is that the older generation, the women, they usually tend to let the finances be handled by the men of the family.
That's
and I've
a
seen
very
it
good point.
happen to the point that my mother won't even go and get cash from an ATM, and my father would just put it in the locker and she would use it. So the kind of dependence they have on the male members of the family, where they do not even know how much money is coming in, where it is being invested, and what actually happens to the income that is generated, I think that is something that I do not like. I've never liked it, and I think as like young women, when we go into the professional space, we would like to be more aware of how we handle our finances. Yeah.
Very nice.
I think that's really the
Yeah,
start
we
of.
actually have, Priya, a course in personal finance very early on in the Vedica journey. Because, I mean, you know, I have definitely been that person that she doesn't like.
Yeah.
That you sail through life thinking somebody else will manage it all.
So, question on personal finance. Once you start earning, in an ideal world, if you have your 100% of your income for yourselves, you don't have to spend it on children, family, husbands. How much of a percentage would you spend and how much of a percentage would you save?
I don't know, since I've never really like been at that point where I had enough salary coming in. But I think initially I would really like to minimize the expenditure so that I have enough to not just to be able to, if there is an emergency or anything, I would like to be able to have enough money with me, be it through investing or doing anything. But yeah, I think that is how I would like it, and not
So, what
like
should the
splurging.
balance be of saving versus, because you're also young ones, you don't want to just keep saving, you want to also experience
Yeah,
life.
I think, you know, Priya, it obviously is a function of where you are in your life, what your commitments are at that point, etc. But I think the personal finance people, I mean, they all get put through a course in that where they are taught the best practices on how much money you have. And I think the wealth planners and the financial planners today will tell you the amount is less relevant than the consistency and discipline of saving from early on. So what it does is, you know, if you're earning 100 rupees, they'll say you put away, even if you put away 10 rupees or 15 rupees consistently, every, you know, whatever your unit of time is, you put that away. And what that does is, one, your kitty is building up. But the other thing is that there are times when you are tempted, it will stop you from doing that. And then there will be occasions when you will have a lump sum from where you will invest a little bit
Buy
more. So I think
something.
the consciousness, the awareness and the skill that is required, I think the combination needs to be with everybody. But the decision that you make between, you know, 10%, 25%, 40% is really determined by the kind of job you
Subjective.
have,
Okay.
the kind of commitments
Your
you have.
needs that are. Okay, how many of you would be comfortable with the fact that your husband is earning less than you? Would you respect him less for that? No. You're okay with the fact that he's.
Would your families be okay?
Very good question.
So how will you convince your family? Why would you want to hide it?
Not exactly hide it, but I think if the life is supposed to be between you two, you
That's a
have to
good
be
point.
together. And if you can manage on your own, then I don't think that, you know, your family should be concerned about it, because you two will be able to sail that boat through.
That's a fantastic answer. But how many of you feel that your families would be okay with whoever you want to marry without knowing, you know, how much they earn or how qualified they are or what their jobs are going to be, what your future will look like?
To add to that, what was the first thing that you would be looking? I mean, from your families to even you in a guy, are you looking for his, you know, how much he's earning, or would you look at his age, or do you look at, you know, looks? What is the, in 1, 2, 3, what are the criteria? What will you say first, second, third in these three things?
For me, I think first thing that's most important is the person has to be a good human. And the definition for a good human is the person understands
what's important for me, and I understand what's important for him. So I think that is what will make it compatible for both of us, wherein
Very
we both
nice.
understand each other.
Even if he's not earning so well, even if professionally he's doing nothing, but he's a good human being.
Yes, I guess that it's important because somehow if you are able to manage certain part of his life and he's able to manage certain part of your life, so you make that effort together. That's what's more important.
So I think my name is Megha and I'm from Uttarakhand. So for me, the most important thing would be that he is ready to share the load with me. So there will be times when I will be having the meeting and he has to, wash the dishes. So he will be ready for that and the vice versa. So it is all about that you both are creating the balance. And also it is very important that yes, he should be a good human, but along with that he should be doing professionally well as well, because the survival and the stability is on shoulders of both the partners. So that is very
Very
important.
nice.
Very good answer, yes. Anybody else?
So for me, I think being a good human is the
Important.
basic requirement. Also, the will that a person can start from zero. If the person falls, they can. If they have the will to start from zero and they are willing to do that, I think how much they earn, what they are doing in life, I think that is manageable.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Amrita and I'm from Assam. For me, I think intellectual compatibility is really important. We should be able to have good discussions together. Also, I feel no person is perfect, but the imperfections that we have, those again should be compatible. I should be able to balance out his imperfections and be okay with that, and he should be able to balance out my imperfections, be okay with that. So yeah, that is something that
Ugai, you
matters.
will make great partners to whoever. Like such thoughtful, mature answers. Very nice.
You should be proud. Okay, we're
Thank
also
you.
living in an age of dating apps and also how do you feel, the earlier system was कि arranged marriages hoti thi, parents would. So how many of you are happy with parents arranging your marriages, and how many of you want to do it on your own, and will you go for an app? Do you feel there's no harm in just taking matters in your own hands?
Hi, this is Vijeta and I'm from Guwahati, Assam. So I think a lot of us would want to opt for a love marriage, but at the same time, with the experiences that we have had, or at least what we hear from our parents, there isn't too much high hopes happening here. Also, I think it depends on what one is looking for. With the kind of accessibility dating app has given us, it had also taken away the seriousness and the gravitas that a person holds for a relationship, because it's like, okay, if something is not working, we are not ready to work on it. Rather, we would switch the person completely. So what was, I think, right with our parents' generation was that it was an arranged marriage system. They did not have too many choices, because sometimes I think giving too many choices also adulterates our minds.
Adds to the confusion.
Yeah. And when they knew that they had to stick by each other, they just made it work. In good ways, in bad ways, that is debatable. That's another story. But what happens with us is that, and especially when women had started voicing out their requirement, is when, or the needs they have for in a relationship, is when the problems started coming in. And not a lot of men are happy or okay with handling an intimidating and handling a ambitious woman, because they genuinely get intimidated. But then the idea is to find somebody who is understanding and compatible.
Well said. How many of you will show of hands on how many of you are happy to try the apps? You have a dating app. So, oh, very good. I must say, they've done you proud. You've got a very good group of girls over here. But we were talking about dating and then this new age relationships as they are coming out. How many of you are quite happy to ask the guy out? Why should the guy be asking you out? If you like someone, would you ask the guy out?
Wow.
Well done.
Wow.
Well done. I think that's
And
really
and Priya, I think this is one of the biggest changes between our generation and them, because I'll tell you, I have a lot of, older women friends who are single. अच्छा वो parking lot के बंदे से लड़ लेंगे, और वो like really like in becoming independent and living single lives, they can be quite firebrand. None of them will ask the guy out. I keep telling them, like, why should the onus of taking rejection sit on the men?
Yeah.
But listen, it'll be great to hear some examples of how you've dealt with it, how you is it natural, or are you all different from a lot of your friends and peers? And if you would ask, how do you deal with hearing a no if that happens?
Okay, yes.
So I think I'm the impatient one when it comes to this thing. So I generally do the talking because I don't want to keep things in my mind and think about it. So I really want to let it out. So I've asked the first time I obviously got no.
Why obvious, beta? Was he
Yeah.
taken aback that you would asked?
Sorry?
What was his reaction that you are asking? Did he see it as a...
No, it was just not. He was just not interested.
Okay.
It was just like we are friends. So
Fine,
it was okay. It was not okay back then. Now I'm fine with it. The second time I did ask, we went out, and the third time also I did ask, and we are still dating. So yes, yes,
Well done.
yeah. I've gotten only one rejection till now.
So, from my experience, even if it's a no, it does lead to a lot of conversation behind the no. For example, I went ahead and asked a person I was dating that why is it that you do not want to commit? And then the reasons that came up that even men are slightly afraid of where they would end up later in life, and because like at our age, people do not know what they're going to do. It's still very volatile. So just knowing where the no comes from and the reasons to back it up, I think it also adds a lot to the connection that you have with people. And it, even if I think even if I do not end up being with that person, it would still I would still remember them and maybe be able to convert that into a different relationship. So I
Correct.
think that is an option that dating apps give us.
Very nice.
Anybody wants to add an experience? So, in terms of
So I recall back in my undergraduate days, I asked a guy out who was 3 years senior to me.
Oh,
And
well done.
after the 3 meetings, I also proposed him. So he actually,
Well
yeah,
done.
and he said yes. So we were in a relationship for 2.5 years. Yeah, we were, but now not. So the thing, however, I want to like share this with all of you that what I faced is also a kind of negative experience in terms of how society and the other people perceived it. Like, because somehow we still question women choices when they ask a guy out, especially when the guy is senior to you. So still, I think in terms of society, that is a different topic altogether, that the guy is saying no or yes, but what maybe hurts you or hit you is how society is also perceiving you as a woman, and they are questioning upon your sanctity, I would say.
Great, great,
So,
great point.
do all of you have an age where you want to get married? I know your parents have that age for you. What is your parents' age and what is your age? Where you want to get married? You all crossed it.
I think my parents got married when my mother was 24 and my
No,
father
they want
was
you to get married at what
26.
age?
They are behind my life since I have turned 22 and right now I'm 26. So for me, I have decided I want to get married in 28 or 29. So
Do any of you, and also do you feel the pressure of the so-called biological clock?
Yeah, so for me, my parents started having this marriage conversation with me when I turned 23. But they were not after my life, but kind of just started putting the conversation through that, someday you'll have to get married, and we start getting ready for it. My own choice would be I am happy to get married maybe after the age of 26. And the reason is I want to grow with the person. I want to, in the way I want to learn from him. I want to be with him, know him as a person, and grow with him throughout. So want to see the ups and downs, because this is also the age when you face a very different sort of life. You live a very different sort of life as to what you live in your 30s.
Correct.
So I think I'm happy to share that with him. And so that's why I think 26 would be a good age for me to maybe start a new life with the person.
So how many of you I think want to have children probably may be the norm, or how many of you don't want to have children? Oh, very good. Wow. So this may be the norm, I may be wrong. Why is that? Anybody who doesn't want to have a child? Or would you like to?
I myself am a single child, but when I started asking my parents to adopt a child for me, my mother gave birth to another child, but unfortunately, she died immediately because of some health issues. But when I started asking that, I don't have companion to share my things. Like it would be good if I have my own sibling to share and play with him. But they were like, we can't treat both of you equally. Like it will be different how we treat both of you, and it is not good that we adopt a child. So then I thought that I personally have to adopt two children, and I'll give birth to children maybe, but I'll treat them equally. Why is it not possible? That I've seen in my place that children are lying around in the streets. There are no parents who take care of them.
that's it.
There are 7 to 8 children. They give their children just like that to many other people. Like they give them to temples to take care of them. They're lying there without any people who take care of them as parents.
So you want to give
So I
preference
want to be that
adopted children.
parent.
Okay.
So I want to become their parent. Like
Well
even
done.
without giving birth, I can become parent.
You all feel the pressures of the biological clock? No. So the priority is what? Work, men, children? Ourselves. I love that. I love this answer. Priority is yourself. Well said. But this whole concept that a woman has to be a mother, otherwise she is not a woman. How do you react to that?
I don't have an answer to that, but like just looking at my mom, so she has given all her life to the two kids, their education, their job, their marriage now. So, and I have seen that she has not lived her life. She has never taken those vacations. She has never done all of those things. So when I look at that, I really feel that firstly she should, and then secondly I feel I should be able to do that, because it's not that I don't like children, it's just that looking at her, I want to focus on me first.
You know, Priya, I just want to add here, I think it's talked about a lot that, you know, when you ask a group of people who they respect the most or whatever, or who they can depend on the most, answer 9 out of 10 times is mother. And that's because she always puts you first. So I think sacrifice is so germane to motherhood. And I think this generation is now saying, I don't want to live by sacrifice. Nobody is saying we don't want to make sacrifices, adjustments, compromises. Those are a part of life. You will do that in your family. You do it with siblings. You do it with partners. You do it with parents. You do it in jobs, with friends, everywhere. So it's not about that. But I think the defining factor has changed. And I feel that exactly like in marriages or in other social constructs, unless the construct around motherhood changes, young women are rejecting motherhood because of the way it's defined, not because they don't want to be mothers. You know,
said,
and I'll give you a very quick example. Japan's a great example. That because of the submissiveness of that society over so long, girls are neither marrying nor having children. And again, you know, all of these are debatable. None of this is sort of science, yeah? It's opinions. There's a very interesting graph. I mean, I did a course in Yale where this woman one class was just about marriages as a social construct. And there's a worldwide survey that was done. And the graph it plots gay marriages, lesbian marriages, heterosexual marriages with kids and heterosexual marriages without kids, on longevity and happiness. And heterosexual marriages with kids have the steepest decline like this, because it has the most exaggerated versions of genderized behavior. And I think that's what the younger generation is questioning and saying, you want better balance in the home, in these roles, in caregiving, and then say, of course, I'm up for it, provided it's shared or better divided.
Women have been so powerless in their own households throughout that once, as a consequence of what ma'am said, once they become mother-in-laws, they want to gain that power back. And unfortunately, women become the perpetrators of patriarchy within households, sadly. And Veena Das writes it beautifully. She says that when a daughter-in-law comes into the picture, the whole picture, the husband is torn between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law, because now the mother-in-law wants to have that power over her daughter-in-law, which she faced. and she thinks that this is the only power she can get because she has been powerless throughout, and the entire this vicious cycle of powerlessness, sacrifice, compromise just continues. There's no end to it.
But hopefully all of you will change it, because you will
Yes.
have all kinds of other power, right? So you don't have to perpetuate this.
Okay, quickly.
Also, quoting Indira Nooyi when she says that the biological clock and the career's clock are never in sync, they're always working in the opposite direction. For me personally, I do want to get married and have kids, but then I fear I might not have the right enablers in my life to be able to do that. As a woman, I know that I have the capacity to be both good in the at the career front and also at my personal front.
course.
But at the same time, how we celebrate when we say behind every successful man there is a woman, but who is there behind a successful woman? It is herself. Until and unless we do not provide the right enablers in her life to go and thrive in professional life as well as personal life, and guilt shaming women for probably not being a good mother, not being a good wife, not being a good daughter-in-law, most importantly, this topic or this conversation will never end in that case. And why is that we have to make a choice between the two? Why
don't
can't
have
we
to.
have both
You don't have
together?
Okay, we're really out of time. So short one, if you want to just quickly interject.
Just wanted to add that motherhood is also, it does not always have to be that you give birth to a baby. It's also, motherhood is, when you say the word mother, it's also related to a feeling. And I have known enough women in my life who are not my mothers, but I look up to them as my mothers because of the caring
Nurturing.
nature that
Nurturing,
they have,
that's
and
the
the way
word.
that they have helped people around them. So I think we can also be mothers in our daily lives. And
Without having given birth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well said. Well
I must
said.
congratulate you. You've got a brilliant lot of young women here, and I can see that, change begins right here with all of you and with your thoughts. So thank you, and a very happy Women's Day to all of you. And thank you.
Thank you.
for
Thank
this
you. Thank you.
session. That's it for now. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again same time next week.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.